I am a Republican, but I'm not going to be a Republican anymore. I've got to become an independent.
Wow, that hair is something. Anyway, MSNBC's Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough slamming the GOP last night and announcing he's leaving the party to become an independent. I wonder if the independents want him. Back with me to discuss, political analyst Gina Loudon and Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk. All right, you know what, Gina, I'll start with you here. Was he a Republican in this presidential cycle?
Yeah, this is about as much of a news flash as Maxine Waters saying she's leaving Mensa or Donald Trump saying he's leaving the establishment. I think most people looked at this news today and thought he was a Republican, exactly like you said. And who could even, you're laughing, but who could even state this with a straight face? It's really not, do the independents want him? That's really the question.
You know, that said, Charlie, I mean, Donald Trump did go after his fiance, and so you can understand there's some bad blood there between them. But, you know, I think in many ways it's no shocker here. And I do wonder if some Republicans are saying to themselves, okay, good, glad you're going.
Yeah, and so I'm calling it right now. I'm going to say that at some point in the near future, Joe's going to run for something, and he'll probably try to make the great uniter and the great independent. I was the one that stood up and stepped away. And look, I mean, one-on-one against Donald Trump.
You think that's what this is about? It's not about ratings. It's about his own political career.
I could be totally wrong, but he has trial ballooned this very in the past. And if you look, he almost ran. I don't know. I have no evidence to support this, just a gut feeling. But I will say this, that when it comes down to Joe, he was a former congressman before. He served in Alabama way back, Alabama or North Florida at some point. But look, this is, I think by rule of thumb, if you have a late show audience applauding you, you're doing something terribly wrong. That's what I always think.
Yeah, but he works for MSNBC, right? So Gina, to some extent, I wonder if this is about ratings. It may be about his political career. And Charlie, you may be on something there. You may see him throwing his hat in the ring for something. But, you know, his viewership doesn't like Donald Trump. Gina.
His viewership doesn't like Donald Trump. And frankly, Trish, a few weeks ago, really most people, if surveyed, didn't know who he was. So keeping his name out there might be, you know, directly to the point that he may be looking at a future run or at least trying to keep his ratings up. But nonetheless, I think most of us watching this recognize this as self-serving and not exactly news.
All right. Is there an opportunity, do you think, though, for an independent? I mean, Joe Scarborough's side. Let's leave that by the wayside here, Charlie. But you know, there's I think Donald Trump, in some ways, has shown that you don't have to be a classic anything to get elected. In other words, what people responded to was this idea of an outsider, a disruptor coming in. And is that really the future? I mean, nobody needs to be so partisan where they're always Democrat or they're always Republican. You can have your own views, and it doesn't need to be in some kind of little box.
Right, and Donald Trump is a perfect example of this. In fact, he did not win because of the Republican Party. I think he won in spite of it. And what do I mean by that? I mean, he went to the convention. He said, here's 10 things that I've been saying that I just don't agree with. Trade, immigration, got to be harder, got to build a wall. Gay marriage, I'm okay with it. You know, all of a sudden, I mean, look, you got to, one after the other, he just kind of said, I'm going to say what I believe, and then the party kind of formed around him. So I think that's going to be the new way of doing politics, this kind of dogmatic approach that we have, all these principles.
You know,
he totally reshaped the entire Republican Party.
You know, people want to have their voices heard, and he empowered a lot of folks to get a seat at the table. Thanks so much, guys. Great to have you here. Great show, everyone.